Thanks for having with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Culture Warriors segment. Tonight, a new survey by a substance abuse outfit says nearly 25% of Americans now binge drink. That is, have 5 alcoholic drinks in one sitting. In addition, about 10% of Americans have used marijuana in the past year. So what does this say about the country? Here now, the Culture Warriors from Los Angeles, Leslie Marshall in for Gretchen Carlson. And from Washington, Margaret Hoover, the author of the brand new book, American Individualism, How a New Generation of Conservatives Can Save the Republican Party. So what about this drinking and toking, Hoover? Why are people doing it in such great numbers? I guess they always have. That's why we had prohibition in this country. But it seems to be socially acceptable now.
I disagree that it's socially acceptable to binge drink. I don't think actually the numbers are that big. 1 in 5 isn't that much. I mean, when you consider
almost 1 in 4.
And if you look at the numbers, too, Bill, they're going down. Drinking is going down.
Among
drug
younger
use,
people, they
use
are.
Going down.
Among
That's
younger
a good
people,
thing.
Hoover. Among younger people, it's declining a little bit, but binge drinking is up big among so-called mature adults. But I don't understand. I guess maybe it's hard times, Leslie. When you're in hard times, you know, it's hard to earn a living. You don't have a lot of money. There's pressures all over the place. People want to escape. Might that be it?
Oh, that's it, Bill. Everybody's lighting up a joint and drinking because it's Obama's fault. No. I mean, I
don't want to blame Obama. I'm just saying in general. It's tough times in the country. It's not happy days are here again.
You know what it is? You know what it is? We have, as much as I love my nation and my fellow Americans, and I was guilty of this in college, Bill, we have a society of excessiveness. We drink to excessiveness. In college, people were drinking until they passed out or threw up.
No doubt.
And I agree, these numbers are not huge, and I understand they seem huge for the older population, but I don't think it's because we're on hard times. Sure, somebody might drink an extra cocktail because they're bummed they're out of work. I think it's because we have this idea that we have to do everything to excess, not one TV, 5.
I don't know. Do you think
not
really
a TV
the people
that's
walk
this
out
big,
and say,
we have
gee,
to
I
have 60
have to
inches.
drink to excess tonight? I mean, there's a reason why. It feels good, do it. That was the 60s, drug culture. There's a reason why that people do whatever. But the unintended consequences are bad. I mean, in the medical marijuana ruse in California, Hoover, now we find out the drugged driving situation is leaping big time in California.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, when you get to, look, drinking is one thing, and as long as you're over your legal drinking age and you're drinking responsibly, I'm fine with that, and I'm not as worried about those numbers, especially because they're going down. But toking, as you call it, medical marijuana, I think, is the biggest ruse that we've got going in this country.
There's no doubt about it. And you get the people on the road behind the wheel. It's not a good thing. Okay. The Institute of Medicine advises the U.S. government, and it says that, Leslie, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services should pay for everybody's birth control, all the women in the world, I guess, or here in the United States, or maybe both. Should pay for that would cost $4 billion a year just on the pill. So you, of course, as a liberal, have to agree that all birth control for all women should be paid for by the government, correct?
Absolutely, because when you're talking about cost, Bill, the cost up front is very little in comparison to the cost in the long run.
$4 billion a year, Leslie. That's not little. $4 billion.
No, the cost in the long run, the savings in the long run will be greater because, as you know, about half of the pregnancies right now are unplanned, unwanted. There are going to be less abortions. There are going to be less people on welfare, less people on Medicaid, less people on food stamps, less health issues for the woman and the child, less foster care.
I hate to say it goes back to our previous segment. Many women who get pregnant are blasted out of their minds when they have sex. They're not going to use birth control anyway. But what do you say, Hoover? Should the government pony up $4 billion a year to change?
No, absolutely not. And it's not because I'm not for having lower cost birth control. What Leslie has highlighted is the philosophical difference between conservatives and liberals on this issue. I want healthcare costs to come down. I just don't think the government should pay for it. We need to create actual real
what about
reforms
the fact
in the
that
healthcare
there would be fewer
marketplace.
abortions, though, if you did give birth control out free?
Look, I am all for lower price birth control to prevent unintended pregnancies. I'd like to see the data for sure that there's going to be fewer abortions. And yes, we all want fewer abortions. We want to limit unintended pregnancies, but it doesn't mean the answer is the government. Liberals always want to throw money at a problem to fix it.
Absolutely, liberals want everything. I mean, they want you to give them everything, right? You want an iPad, don't you, Leslie? Paid for by the government?
No, but I always hear from my buddies on the right that you're complaining about the cost of social programs such as foster care, such as welfare, such as Medicaid.
Look, when
this
does
is
it
a way
end?
to cut that cost.
When does it end? Healthy
you know
food.
what,
We got to
line
give
is
healthy
cost
food to
aside.
everybody. No, it never ends. Got to give healthy food so they won't have diseases because they eat bad food. Never ends. All right, ladies, very interesting. In a moment, the Great American News.